Today, I will be playing golf without knowing anything about the course. I won't know what the par of the holes are, I won't know the layout of the holes, and I won't know the distances I've got to hit. How hard can it be? Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and this one is a fun one. This was the first time that I had ever played around at Lees Hall Golf Club in Sheffield, and because I knew nothing about the course, I thought I'd give this challenge a go, trying to play golf without knowing anything about the course, not knowing how far ahead to hit shots, not knowing the layout of the holes, just using my eyes and seeing the hole for what it is. Onto the first hole, and this looked like quite a straightforward hole. It seemed like it was a par 4 all the way down the hill, and I chose to go with a 5-iron just because I wasn't confident in hitting driver with the first shot of the day. I was really happy with that tee shot, landed in the middle of the fairway, and I guessed I had about 100 yards in here. So I've ended up getting quite lucky here. It's finished just to the edge of this tee box, and I've actually got an okay angle into the green. Just need to make sure I get it up that first mount and get it onto the green. Let's give it a go. Yes, come on. Onto the second hole now, and once again this looked like quite a straightforward par 4. I could see the green from the tee, and there were some bunkers just before the green, so I got driver out and tried to aim at those bunkers. Well, I absolutely smoked that. I think the wind helps, it brought it off the right hand side, but from the looks of it, I've only got a short chip shot onto the green now, so hopefully I can get a birdie on this hole. I was a little disappointed with that shot. I just didn't commit to it, and it left me with quite a long putt. My objective here was just to make sure I two-putted and came away with a par. Another par. Onto the third hole now, and this looked like another par 4. There were some bunkers just before the green, so I need to make sure I hit it up that left-hand side to leave me with a shot into the green. Once again, I hit another amazing drive there, and I thought I had about 70 yards left in here. The pin was at the back of the green once again, so this time I wanted to make sure I committed to the strike and got it back there. Yes. Putt. Not what I wanted. Onto the fourth. Yeah, that was a little disappointing. I should have concentrated over that second putt there. Unfortunately, coming away with a bogey. Onto the fourth hole now, and this looked like quite a long one. I thought this would be the first par 5. I couldn't see the pin, but I gauged that the hole was just dead straight, so I went with driver. There was a bunker in the middle of the fairway. My objective was just to make sure I got it up level with that bunker, maybe past it if I struck it well. And once again, I hit an amazing drive, probably the best drive so far. And I couldn't gauge how far I had in left. As you can see here, I couldn't see over the top of the brow of the hill, so I had absolutely no idea how far I had to go. So what I chose to do was take my 7-iron and play a layup, just get it down there towards the green and hopefully leave myself with a short chip onto the green. So this hole has confused me a little bit. I thought it was par 5. When I was up on the tee, it looked like a really, really long hole. But I've just hit the green in 2. Admittedly, I did hit an amazing drive and a really good 7-iron, but I did not expect it to hit the green. That 7-iron was meant to be a layup. But here I am on the green, and I've got either a birdie putt or maybe even an eagle putt if it is a par 5. Let's see how I get on. So the camera isn't showing, but this is actually quite a tricky putt. It's down the hill and it breaks quite hard to the left. So I needed to make sure I got the pace bang on here so the ball didn't run past the hole if I missed the putt. Another 3 putt. That's disappointing. Onto the 5th hole now, and this is the first par 3 of the day. And I thought it might be between 140 and 150 yards, so I chose to go with a 9-iron. So I actually struck that pretty well, but it just went off the right edge of the green. So hopefully it's not too bad and I can get it up and down. So after that hole, I noticed there was another tee box just to the back of that green. So I went there, got my driver out and hit it just down the left-hand side of the fairway. I ended up being just to the left of these trees and I decided to play it out into the middle of the fairway. It was only after this though that I realised something didn't add up. So I've just experienced probably the only downside with not knowing anything about the course, because that hole that I just played, I thought was the 6th hole. It was actually the 13th. So now I've got to go all the way back to play the 6th because I've gone the wrong way. So yeah, it doesn't help you out sometimes. Sometimes you probably do need to know where the next hole is at least. So after making my way back to the actual 6th tee, this seemed like it was a par 5 because I couldn't see where the hole went. I could see a pole in the middle of the fairway, which was my aiming point, but after that I had no idea where the hole went. But I gauged it was probably about 300 yards towards that pole anyway, so I got driver out and just aimed down the middle of the fairway. So I actually got quite lucky there. The ball almost went out of bounds. But from here, I had quite a straightforward shot. I could see the hole went down a massive hill and the green was at the bottom of that hill. So I just wanted to take an iron and get it down there. And hopefully the ball would just roll down the hill. Well, I topped it, but this is probably the hole that I want to do that on because that should just roll down. So not the best strike, but the ball actually did roll down the hill quite a bit. It left me with something about 80 yards in, and I need to make sure I committed to this strike because I was stood on a downhill lie. So I need to make sure I got a good contact and that the ball went up in the air towards the green. I was super happy with that shot. I got it pin high, just to the left of the pin, and it left me with this putt for what I thought would be a birdie. Onto the 7th hole now, and this is one of the nicest looking holes that I played so far. It was a par 4, dog leg to the left, and I knew I had enough space to hit drive up that right hand side and hopefully draw it back into the fairway. Perfect. Really happy with that drive once again, but it did leave me with a little bit of a tricky shot. I had about 60 to 70 yards here, but I was stood on an uphill lie, so I needed to make sure I hit it well. I knew it would draw back in towards the pin, so I just need to make sure I hit a nice controlled one and get it up there on the green. Well, I Don't know if the camera got that or not because it fell over. But it's ended up just on the back edge of the green. Not a bad shot, not as close to the pin as I would have hoped. But I'm hoping the camera didn't fall before you got that. So once again, you can't tell on camera, but this is actually quite a big downhill putt. And because I was putting off the fringe, I needed to make sure I hit it with a good pace. I didn't want the ball to go too far past the pin if it didn't go in. So I just wanted to make sure I hit a nice soft one to leave myself with an uphill putt coming back. That'll be another par onto the 8th hole. Onto the 8th hole now, and this was one of the more trickier holes to gauge. It was a par 3, and I thought it was between 170 and 180 yards long. As you can see, though, there was a big hill to the right-hand side of the green and a bunker to the left-hand side of the green. So I wanted to make sure I hit it straight and got it onto the green. I would normally hit a 7-iron here, about that 170-yard distance, but instead I chose to go with a 6-iron, take a little bit of pace on it, and make sure I got it there onto the green. Yeah, not too bad. I'm actually quite surprised how well I've played, to be honest. I think it's a testament to how much I've improved over the last few years. I think if I tried this a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been as reliable off the tee. I think my distances would have been a bit inaccurate. So just goes to show that actually working on your game and getting a gauge and a feel for how your game is does pay dividends. And yeah, I played really well. As we come towards the end of this challenge, I thought I'd be doing a lot worse, but I'm actually scoring quite well and arguably better than I would do if I knew the yardages as well. I was in two minds here, either to go with a putter or to chip it. If I went with putter, I think I would have found it really difficult to gauge the pace. So instead I chose to go and chip it, just because I felt like I could get the ball all the way back there towards the pin. Oh my God. I was really disappointed with that. I thought I played that hole really well. Off the tee, I thought I made the right decision going with the 6-iron and getting it safely onto the green. And even the chip was really good. It was just that last putt, I just didn't commit to it, unfortunately. Onto the last hole now, and this was actually a blind tee shot, and I couldn't figure out where the hole went. But I thought it might be a par 5 just because I could see some trees lining what would be the right-hand side of the fairway. I chose to go with driver, aim at those trees, and hope I could draw it back in. So that was a pretty good tee shot. I ended up being blocked out by these trees. So what I decided to do was take an iron and just lay up short of the green. Good. Needs to sit. Yeah, I think that's good. I can't see where it's ended up, but I don't think it'll be long enough to be in trouble. From here, I guess I had about 60 yards, and I just wanted to make sure I got it up there safely on the green and give myself a birdie putt. Turn. Oh. There we go. And there we are, safely in 4 or 5. Let's head over and figure out what I scored. Okay, so that brings to the end the 9 holes. I've got the scorecard out. Let's see how well I got on. So starting off with the first hole, well, the first 3 holes actually, they were all par 4s as I thought. So I got a par, and a bogey. After that, it was actually a par 5, the one that I wasn't sure. I thought it was a par 5 initially, but I ended up thinking it might have been a par 4, so it was a par 5. I missed out on getting a birdie on that hole, which is very frustrating. Then we went to the par 3, then it was another par 5, par 4, par 3, which I got another bogey on, unfortunately, and finishing up there with a par 5. So overall, I managed to shot 39. So only 2 over through the front 9, which is actually incredible. I guess that just goes to show you, sometimes you don't need to know what the hole looks like, how far you're hitting your shots. Just trust your judgment. If you've improved enough, like I have, over the last few years, I can just rely on my game to make sure I'm hitting the right kind of shots and the right kind of distances. I think I left myself with a lot of short chips, which is a strong part of my game. So I'm very happy with how I played there, a lot better than I thought I would. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you in the next one. Cheers.